A stable job, a six-figure salary, a future most people would never walk away from. And then one decision changed everything. He walked into his boss's office with an idea that sounded insane. Leave the safe path. Bet everything on something no one believed in. Friends warned him. Experts laughed. Some said it would be the biggest mistake of his life. But years later, that crazy risk would reshape an entire industry and build one of the most powerful companies the world had ever seen. The real question is, what did he see that nobody else did? A decision like that doesn't happen in a moment. It builds slowly, quietly, in the back of your mind. For months, maybe years, the idea had been growing. A simple thought that refused to disappear. What if the world was about to change and almost nobody noticed? In the mid-90s, the internet was still a mystery to most people. To many, it looked like a strange experiment, something for researchers, maybe tech enthusiasts. But hidden inside that chaos was a signal. Data was showing something extraordinary. Internet usage wasn't growing slowly, it was exploding. Year after year, the numbers were jumping by thousands of percent. Most people ignored it. But one person couldn't stop thinking about it. What if this new technology could change how the entire world buys and sells? What if a small idea built at the right moment could become something massive? That thought kept returning again and again, until finally it became impossible to ignore. Long before the risk, before the idea, before the world-changing company, there was simply curiosity. From an early age, there was a fascination with how things worked. Machines, computers, systems. While other kids were playing games, hours were spent experimenting, taking things apart, trying to understand the logic behind them. Curiosity turned into obsession. Books were devoured. Science projects filled entire weekends, and slowly, a pattern emerged. The future was being built by people who understood technology. So the focus became clear. Learn, build, solve problems. Years later, that curiosity led to studying computer science and engineering. But knowledge alone was never enough. There was always a bigger question. Where is the future going? And more importantly, how can you be early? Because history shows something interesting. The biggest opportunities rarely look obvious in the beginning. They look strange, risky, even ridiculous. And the people who chase them often hear the same words. That will never work. After finishing studies, the career path looked perfect. A prestigious job, a strong salary, a clear future. The kind of life most people dream about. Working inside one of the fastest growing investment firms in the world. Everything was stable. But stability has a strange effect on ambitious minds. It can feel limiting. Every day, surrounded by brilliant people, powerful systems, and huge financial decisions, yet something felt unfinished. Because outside that office, something big was happening. The internet was expanding faster than almost any technology in human history. The numbers were impossible to ignore. Online usage was growing by more than 2,000% per year. Think about that, 2,000%. Most people looked at that statistic and shrugged. But to a curious mind, it meant something different. It meant opportunity, massive opportunity. If the internet kept growing at that speed, entire industries would be transformed. Shopping, communication, entertainment, everything. And one question kept appearing. If people can connect online, why can't they buy things online? At the time, the idea sounded ridiculous. People trusted stores, not computers. Credit cards online, that sounded dangerous. Shipping products across the country from a website, most experts said it would fail. But the more the idea was examined, the more logical it became. If even a small percentage of shopping moved online, the potential was enormous. The problem was obvious. To test the idea, everything safe would have to be left behind. This is the moment that defines a life. The moment where logic meets courage. On one side, certainty, a comfortable job, a predictable future, financial security. On the other side, pure uncertainty, a risky idea, no guarantees, no proof, just a belief. And one powerful thought experiment helped clarify the decision. Imagine being 80 years old, looking back at life, which regret would hurt more, trying something bold and failing, or never trying at all. That question changed everything, because failure fades over time. But regret lasts forever. So the decision was made. The stable job was left behind. Friends were confused. Colleagues were shocked. Some believed it was the worst career move imaginable, leaving a powerful financial career to start an internet bookstore. It sounded absurd. But sometimes the craziest decisions create the biggest revolutions. The beginning was far from glamorous. No fancy office, no massive team, just a small group working inside a garage, simple desks, basic equipment, but a powerful mission. Build the world's most customer-focused online store. The first step was choosing the right product, something with huge variety, easy shipping, and universal demand. Books, millions of titles, far more than any physical bookstore could ever hold. The idea was simple. Create a website where people could search and order any book they wanted. It sounded small, but the vision was bigger. Because once the system worked, anything could be sold online. Electronics, clothes, tools, everything. The early days were exhausting. Long nights, constant technical problems, shipping chaos, orders arriving faster than expected. At one point, packages were being prepared on the floor because there weren't even proper tables. But slowly, something remarkable started happening. Customers loved the experience, convenience, selection, speed, word began to spread, orders increased, then increased again. Soon, the small online bookstore was becoming something much larger, a platform, a system, an entirely new way of shopping. And that crazy risk was starting to look like genius. The person who took that risk, the person who walked away from certainty, the person who believed in the future of the internet before most people did was Jeff Bezos. And the small online bookstore launched in that garage became Amazon, a company that would eventually transform global commerce. What started with books expanded into almost everything imaginable: technology, cloud computing, entertainment, artificial intelligence. Today, millions of businesses depend on the systems that grew from that original idea, all because one person looked at the future and decided to act before everyone else. But this story is not just about business. It's about mindset, because the same patterns appear in every extraordinary journey. When something truly new appears, most people reject it, not because they are stupid, but because the human brain prefers familiarity. If everyone agrees with your idea, it's probably not revolutionary. Thousands of opinions said the idea wouldn't work, but the data told a different story. Internet growth, customer behavior, technology trends. Successful builders focus on signals, not noise. Most people avoid risks because they fear failure, but failure is temporary. Regret is permanent. When you reach the end of life, you won't remember every mistake, but you will remember the chances you never took. The first step was only selling books, but the vision was global. Small beginnings, huge imagination. That combination changes industries. Every generation faces a moment like this, a moment where the future quietly appears, hidden inside new technology, new possibilities. Most people ignore it. Some people doubt it. And a few people see the opportunity. They take the risk others are afraid to take. They build what others say is impossible. And years later, the world calls them visionaries. But in the beginning, they were simply the ones brave enough to try. So the real question isn't whether an opportunity will appear in your life. It will. The real question is this: when the moment comes, when everyone else calls it crazy, will you have the courage to take the risk?